quick tour of Twitter on iPad. We'll start with some basic features, move to some more advanced tips and tricks that allow you to take advantage of the iPad's flexibility. And I'll also talk about some both Twitter apps and third-party apps that are good for Twitter on iPad, and then just show you some resources that we have here at Wick and some other things that we promote to help with Twitter. So just to get started, as you may or may not know, Twitter began in 2006 as a microblogging site, which meant people would create short little blog-like posts. They would create a profile, they would reply to other people's posts, and it was pretty simple. And now, of course, it's multiplied and magnified, and it's a great source for instantaneous news updates. It's great for networking, both social and professional. And on Twitter, quality is more important than quantity. So if you have only a few followers, but you know and like those followers and are interested in them, that is much better than having hundreds of followers you don't know. But that's a topic for a different workshop. So we will get to the iPad session. I just want to give out people who just came in, thanks. And we have iPads here too. If you don't have Twitter on your iPad, we have them on here, so feel free to borrow one of ours. Okay. Okay. You can. Mm-hmm. And so if you do have your own Twitter account, please feel free to use it. You can play around with your own timeline and activity. If not, we set up a test account here at Wick, and the information for that is on the board. So the username is just penwick4@gmail.com, and then the password is right there. And our handle is called TestyTesting1. Not something that, that I made up, but something we've had around for a while. So pretty easy to remember. So I can give people just a minute to get set up on Twitter if you're not there.
The whole thing is the username? It's
yes.
When I put an @ sign in it.
Oh, really? It should work. If not, you can use TestyTesting1 as the username.
Okay.
That might work better.
Yeah, that works.
Okay. Yeah, so if that's giving you trouble, you can just use this, the handle, as the username. Okay. And are you both familiar with Twitter? Decently familiar, or?
I have an account. That's what I'm logging in.
Okay. Okay. So I can go over some more of the basic things first, and then we can play with the iPad tricks and tips. So basically, and this is on your handout too, the Twitter on iPad handout, just some of the basic features that are nice. So the navigation bar is actually on the left-hand side of the screen, and you have your normal buttons, the home, the connect, which basically when you tap connect, you can see any interactions you've had with any of your followers, or if you followed anybody recently. And then next to that, if you tap on the mentions, basically if anyone retweets anything of your content, or if they mention you in a tweet, that'll show all of that activity. The number symbol, or the hashtag for the discover portion, basically so it caters to your Twitter followers and to your location. You have a question?
I was just wondering,
yeah.
Would it make sense to hook you up to the projector?
Well, I'm not sure if the iPad,
Yeah.
can we do that? Okay,
If
that's,
she
yeah, that's
has
good.
the,
Yeah, that would be,
adapter,
that'd be great.
that would make sense.
Okay,
So then
that's
we can
good.
see
Yeah,
what you're
see
doing.
if we can do that.
It should be good.
Yep.
Come on in. Made a good noise.
Yes, perfect. Great, thank you. Yeah, that's great. I wasn't sure if we could do that.
We can if that's fine.
Great, okay. And then I'm just gonna pass these out for people who just came in. Thanks. Okay, so now that we can all see what I'm doing, that's much better. Let me start over a little bit. So,
My username, because I usually I signed on it with my
email, that should work too. Yeah.
They only wanted to-
Yeah, either one should work. If not, you can sign in with ours just for the time being if you're having trouble. But yeah, technically email or username should work. Right, so yeah, you could, Penwick4 is the email or testy-testing1 is the username, so. Okay. Okay. Okay, so once everybody is on, I can walk through some of these features again. So basically, as I was explaining, the navigation bar is here on the left. Usually on Twitter on the computer, it's kind of across the header of your screen. So the home button basically will just take you to your timeline and show you all of the anybody else's tweets that you're following, your tweets. It just integrates everything. And the connect or the @ symbol is basically any interactions. So if you followed someone, if someone has followed you, and then if you tap on mentions, it shows anytime someone has mentioned you in a tweet or anytime you've mentioned someone. So that's a nice feature. The iPad kind of lets you bounce back and forth between those two. And then the Discover button basically tailors to your own location and your own interests. So it'll bring up news stories, any trending topics. And at the bottom, it actually shows, if you scroll down, the most recent trends that are going on in the Twitter world. So it'll kind of cater that to your location and your interests based on your followers and who's following you. And then if you tap on the Me button, you get to your own profile page. And basically it just shows you any activity that's been going on your profile, any tweets that you've had recently. And it allows you to control, see who you're following, who follows you, any lists that you have, specific people you follow, or timelines. And next we'll move on to actually tweeting. Any questions so far?
Are you going to talk about the lists are?
Yes, we can do that. Yeah, so lists actually, I usually talk about that more in the, when I'm talking about networking with Twitter, but we can, that's definitely something to look at. So the lists basically, so on the iPad, it'll show you if you're subscribed to certain lists. So basically a list is a collection of certain organizations or certain groups of people or organizations you follow. So you could have a list for all news organizations. And if you just want to read the news for the day, you hit your news list. And you'll just, in your timeline, will only be news events. Similarly, you could have an organizations list, or if you're interested in Twitter for networking or job possibilities, you can have a jobs list where you just go to that list and you will only see jobs. Otherwise, your whole timeline is just everything jumbled together and you kind of have to weed through. So the list actually is a really nice feature. And here, so you can see what you're subscribed to and the list that you're a member of. And basically, if you look at some of your followers, or people you're following, sorry, let's see. Let's go back. So if you look at any people or organizations you're following, so if you go to the Me and then followers, trying to find an, okay, so let's see. Let me find, I will click on the ALA Washington office. So I'm taken to their profile, and I want to see what lists they subscribe to, because I could subscribe to one of their lists as well if I were interested. So if you scroll down and tap on lists, so it looks like they are subscribed to these two lists, and they are a member of a bunch of other lists. So what you could do, and hopefully this will work, let's say I want to join the libraries and librarians list, or I want to follow that list. So if I click on that, let's see. Okay, so I can see the members, I can see the tweets, and see if I can. There is an option to subscribe to the list. I just have to find it on here. Let's see. that actually might be a good topic to look up in the Twitter help section, just because it's a little tricky for finding out how you do. Oh, sure. So if you just go to the Me button on the side to bring you to your profile, you scroll down and it's right underneath favorites there. And while we're on the topic, I was going to talk about the Twitter help section later because it's actually really, really useful. It's very extensive. So if you're on your profile page and you hit the gear for settings, all you have to do is tap on help. And it will actually open in a new window. And the help for the iPad section is under the apps, SMS, and mobile. And they basically kind of have basic help features and more advanced Twitter help features. And it's called, there's one getting started for Twitter, on Twitter with iPad, and then advanced tips and tricks. So whether you're working on a PC or a Mac or an iPad, the help section is really great for Twitter if you're ever stuck on a topic. It's actually, instead of Googling it, you should first go to the help section.
Discover is when you don't know what you're looking for, and this is when you
Yeah,
have somebody to tell you.
exactly, yeah. So, yeah, Discover is basically to see what is trending right now, to see what the latest news is, what's going on in your location, what the latest hashtag trends are. It'll basically just, and it kind of tailors it to who you follow, who you're following, and your location, basically. Okay, let's go back to Twitter. Okay, so I just wanted to speak briefly just about some more basic things before we get into the tricks. So tweeting on the iPad, basically you hit this little feather quill icon at the top, and it looks a lot like a regular tweet on the computer. Basic features, if you click, so that little, if you can see it, it's a little grayed out now, that feather quill icon. Right, yeah, so it's limited to 140 characters, but if you want to add an image or a URL link or a video, Twitter actually now automatically shortens those to 20 characters, even if it's more than that. So you basically have 120 characters of text that you want to describe, and then it will shorten your video or image or link to 20 characters. And before, actually, you used to have to do that through a third-party site like Bitly or TinyURL, but now it's actually a lot better. So if you tap the camera, let's see if that works. There we go. So it'll ask you if you want to take a photo with your iPad, which is a really cool feature. You can just take a live photo, which also you can do on your phone, Twitter for your iPhone or mobile phone, or choose an existing photo. So anything you have on your iPad, you can choose as well to put in your tweet. And then this little map pin icon right next to the camera basically will allow you to tweet your location. So it will automatically, oh no, I don't know why we're forbidden to do that. Let's see. Huh, that's strange. Well, theoretically, when you hit the little map pin button, it will automatically detect that you're in Philadelphia. And that's something that you can turn on and off at the individual tweet level. So if you don't want to tweet your location all the time, you can just tap on the map pin icon and tweet it at certain times. If you do want to tweet it all the time, you can make that a part of your settings. So in your settings, you can check a box that says tweet my location all the time. And again, you can turn that off and on. So if you're traveling to Colorado and you want people to know you're there, you might want to turn it on. So
there have been celebrities who have had problems by uploading photos with,
oh.
and then letting people know exactly where they are.
Yeah, yeah, right. They didn't uncheck that box. Yeah, right.
Did you know how you turn that off? It's supposed to go into settings.
The location.
Location services?
Yeah, so it's if you tap the gear and then go to settings. Oh, you know what? It might be. Oh, you know what? If you click on the gear and then edit profile, there's an option for location. So you can change that if you want. Okay, so let's get to some of the neat things you can do on. Yeah. So let's see. Okay, so basically, so you put your location, and then you would have to type something. So you could say something like learning lots of new things today. Yeah, and then you would just tap tweet, and then you, yep. And then if you hit your me button, it should be the first thing, the first tweet that pops up.
I don't understand. I want to tweet to someone else, not myself. I don't like that.
Well, so Twitter, it doesn't, you don't tweet, it basically you tweet to everyone who follows you, they can see that. So that's how that works. Okay. Yeah, so as an example, we could even, you know, if we wanted to tweet about Gadget Day today, which we are using our hashtag Gadget Day for, we could say something like, learning lots at WIC today. And then after that, we could put in hashtag Gadget Day. So that basically, do people understand the hashtag concept? Okay, it's basically like a keyword, so it's popular for a lot of events. If someone didn't go to the event, they could pop in the hashtag and see everything that happened at that event. And actually, you could actually put, instead of writing this out, you could just put @PennWic, since that's our handle. So basically, if anybody searched by our handle or by this hashtag, they would find everything related to Gadget Day or WIC that was going on today. Okay. So the fun part of this comes with some tips for the iPad specifically. So the iPad's really nice because if you have multiple Twitter accounts, you can actually just flip back and forth between them. Only put in your user and password the first time, and then it will allow you to flip back and forth. So for example, if I go to my Me button, and I click on this little icon with the two people right next to the gear. So right now, what I did was, so you can edit a current account that you're already signed in with, or you can, if you hit the plus sign, you can add an account. And you only have to put that information in once, your username and password. And you can basically, if you tap on a different account, you can flip back and forth between your accounts. So if I tap on that one, it's kind of like a box movement. It flips you to your next account. I can do it again with another account. And it kind of lets you control multiple accounts at one time. So that's a really cool feature of the iPad, I think. And you can also change, so this is my, I'll switch it back to WIC so we have our WIC symbol. Okay, so this grayed area in the background is kind of, it's called a header. And you can change your header if you go into the settings, which is the gear button, the gear icon. And if you hit Edit Profile, there's a button that says Header. And if you tap that, you can take a photo again with your iPad or choose something you already have on your iPad. So that's kind of a neat feature. You can customize your own profile. And it's good to make as complete of a profile as possible, because then your followers will think you're interesting and take you more seriously. So it's always a good tip. Best practices. Okay. So if we go to the Home button, this is your timeline with everything. It has news, your followers, it has basically everything in it. And say you scroll all the way down your timeline, you get really far down there. On the iPad, all you have to do is double tap the home screen, and it brings you all the way back to the top and shows you anything that's new. And on the side here, you can see there's a little blue glow next to the Connect. That means that there's new activity waiting for you. So if you tap on the Connect, it will show, okay, yeah, we have one tweet, learning lots about Twitter on iPad. Yes, so it will show us our newest interactions and mentions. So that's another neat feature. Something else I really like about Twitter on the iPad, so basically if you go back to your home screen, your timeline, and you tap on a tweet, that will expand the tweet. So right now it kind of shows up small, you tap on it, it'll expand it, it'll give you the options to reply or retweet or add as a favorite. I think these dots mean that you can, let's see. yeah, tweet the link, copy the link, mail the link. So it gives you a bunch more options. But something, if you don't want to tap on it to expand it, something kind of cool, if you swipe your finger to the right across a tweet, those options will come up automatically. Is everybody able to do that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Took a little bit.
Yeah, it takes a little practice getting your fingers used to it. So that's kind of neat. So you can basically reply, retweet, favorite that way. And if you want to get back to your tweet, you just swipe back left and it goes right back. And if you do choose to expand your tweet just by tapping on it, you can actually pinch your fingers on the iPad to close it. So it's just kind of a quick pinching motion. Let's see. If you go like that, it'll just close. So that's kind of cool, taking advantage of the iPad's features. Let's see. So basically, what Twitter on iPad used to do, if you were trying to, if a tweet had a picture or a video in it, it used to be that you could see both your timeline and the video you were trying to watch in kind of a dual screen, which was really nice. For some reason, the latest app does not do that. It opens it up in a brand new window. But that does allow you to see it full screen, which is nice. So that's one feature that changed a little bit, but I think is still nice for the iPad. And basically, if you search for a tweet with a picture, that opens up in a new screen, full screen mode, as I said. So I'm just going to do a basic search for picture. See if we can find a picture. Let's see. Let's see. That's kind of a strange picture, but that's okay. So basically, if we have that picture up, you can actually, if you take your two fingers, you can, let's go back, open it in full screen. You can move it around with your two fingers, which I'm not really sure why you would need to move it around, but you can if you want. And then if you pinch it small enough, it will take you back to the tweet where it came from. So you can kind of close out of it that way. And also just to mention searching on Twitter, so the little magnifying glass at the top next to the tweet icon, it will remember your recent searches. It'll also save searches for you. So that way if you're doing a search that you want to go back to, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. It'll also actually suggest related topics, which is kind of, it's almost like a database in that way. It kind of recognizes what you're trying to look for and suggests other ways of going about it. So if I type in something like dogs, let's see. Oh, didn't do it for that one. Let's see. Okay, sure. Yeah, so basically if you search for something like cats, sometimes it'll say related searches are cat pictures or cute cats or crazy cats. So sometimes it'll suggest other options for searching. So now that we're winding down, I just wanted to mention a few things these are all on your handout, and if you didn't get a handout, I can grab you one at the end. On the back of the handout, I just put some apps for the iPad that are really nice for Twitter. So Hootsuite, I don't know if anybody has heard of that. It basically, it organizes your Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Foursquare accounts into basically columns where you can track all of your activity and you just swipe back and forth to get from Facebook to Twitter to LinkedIn. So it's a really neat way to organize your social networking. And actually, let's see, and then TweetDeck, it says it's for power users of Twitter. So people who really tweet a lot, lots of organizations use it. You can actually schedule your tweets to appear at certain times. We do that with Wick here with some of our tweets. And it basically is just a nice interface for you to organize everything in columns and lists. So if you do use Twitter a lot, that's one big advantage. And then just a couple of resources. Like I said, the Twitter help section is really extensive and great. So I would suggest if you have questions to definitely consult that. Lynda.com it's on the handout, is also another great resource for Twitter. They have 6 hours of Twitter videos that you can watch. And then here at Wick, we have a guide, a lib guide for Twitter that is also on your handout. So if you ever need help with that, you can get in touch with us and we can walk you through it. Does anybody have questions? No, that was
What's
a
your name?
Vickie.
Okay.
Yes, I'm an intern here, so I'm usually at the front desk, but I know that was kind of a whirlwind, a whirlwind
They
tour.
always say stuff.
Yeah, and I also pass out, this is kind of neat, just as Twitter search operators. You can do lots of advanced searches in Twitter. Like I said, it's kind of like a database in that way. So some of them are really fun. You can search by like positive or negative feedback on certain events by a smiley face or a frowning face. So these are kind of fun to play around with if you have time. So, yeah.
Are you gonna go
Okay.
ahead and switch?
Okay,
Or is it
sounds
your-
good.